touching on the top prop bets in the NBA today. All right, everyone. So looking at the board for today, it is a very interesting one. I started out the day really hating the board. And then about an hour ago, we got some fantasy prop ones. We got some college basketball prop ones to the point where I got excited and I was about to go live to like give you guys some of the props that were out there. And then right as I was about to go live, some of the lines updated. Okay, so the college basketball ones that I was going to have, not as strong. I do want to call those out still because they are still decent, but not as free squares as they previously seemed like. And then they also did update. There's a points, rebounds, and assists one for Clint Capella that's no longer there as well. So we will start out with those college basketball props. So guys, the interesting thing about college basketball is that there are so many games going on right now that if you are just around and just watching these boards and then also watching when these basketball props drop, you can gain a big edge just by doing that. Okay, so for instance, and this one's no longer there as well, I put this one in the 9 to 5 Discord chat. Once again, not trying to sell 9 to 5 Discord chat. I don't sell picks or anything like that. It's just I will drop a prop in there when I see it, when I know it's going to adjust, because that's like the quickest way to go about getting that information out. And that's for current 9 to 5 members. Okay, that is a bonus tool associated with the membership, but it's not for props. It's just for like chatting about really fantasy golf. It also has a separate props chat. I've been getting asked a lot about that. I kind of just want to clear that up, but it's not like I'm not selling picks in there or anything like that. It's just an exact situation like this where Bruce Thornton was 12.5 to start the day for the over and under. Now this is still set. It's minus 150 for him to get over 12.5 points. Okay. And then FanDuel Sportsbook actually has the over set at 13.5. And they are also favoring that at about minus, let's just say if we take out the juice, about minus 120 for over 13.5 points. So we are seeing that the over here is favored. Obviously at 12.5, it was one in which we couldn't really pass up. Still a decent one, still could be a push. I mean, that's pretty much where DraftKings is valuing it, is basically a push at 13 points. And then we just have a lot of decent ones here that are just interesting. They're all about minus 146 to minus 120, like kind of an average across FanDuel and DraftKings Sportsbook. Those are the two that really give us it. So the under rebounds would be the move here. Once again, like DraftKings has this set at minus 120, and let's just double check that. So minus 125 now. FanDuel has this set at minus 146. Decent one. Basically, the exact same bet would be Juwan Roberts under 7.5 rebounds. Exact same odds that I'm seeing. Let's see. Okay, minus 130. Nope. Yeah, probably much more of a push here, actually. Probably not making this one. This has adjusted. It's fun. It's fun, fast-paced stuff here today. Now, darn it. Geez. Oh, man. This was just updated, too. It was set at minus 140 to get over 13.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Oh, that's frustrating. Oh, well, I mean, it is what it is. Let's get into some NBA props. But like I said, guys, this is like, it's worthwhile if you guys are betting on college basketball or thinking about doing it, just to like be around maybe an hour before the game is going to go live, because odds will be updating then, both on PrizePicks and on the DraftKings board, and you can kind of just compare the odds that we're getting. And if you have time, look on FanDuel as well. So I do just want to start with comparing some props on both Underdog and PrizePicks once again, and seeing if we can find an edge there. So the first one that stood out to me was Tobias Harris fantasy points. On Underdog, they have it set at 23.55. If we go to PrizePicks, they have it set at 25.5. Now, if we look at the game, if you were trying to bet on this, maybe the over, obviously you'd want to do it on Underdog, but I don't believe Underdog does any first half props. Do they? I don't think I've ever seen that. They might. But I was going to say, like, you'd probably want to do first half prop line because the game's projected to be a blowout. And for me, I really start to see a blowout when it's over 7.5 points. So we can see, obviously, a little bit over that. And so if we just look at his game log, we can see it's kind of been a little bit sporadic, really, this whole season in terms of fantasy production. He'll have games in which he's, like, really going off. There just hasn't really been too much consistency there with Tobias Harris. So really with that, it kind of, I don't know if that makes me more worried because he could randomly go off. But, like, clearly we can see if you're betting the under, you would do that on PrizePicks. If you want to bet the over, you would do that on Underdog. Now let's go ahead and check out his fantasy point projection. So looking at it, he is slightly favored to get the over. We are getting a decent edge for the PrizePicks line set at 25.5. Okay, so in theory, we would want to make this bet on Underdog where we are getting a much more significant edge. Instead of it being 2.74 points, it'd be about, 4 points, which, that all adds up. Now, do I think Tobias Harris is the best bet in the world today? Personally, I don't love it, but we can kind of see a pretty good bet across the board. Like, even if he just sets his average, that's going to be good enough. And so let's just look real quickly at some games in which have been blowouts recently. Still at 34 minutes in that game, good. Still at 35 minutes in this game, good. And I'm looking at games in which they were blowing out teams. Houston was right there. You tack on some blocks and steals for PrizePicks and Underdog. He did get the over fantasy points there as well. how it's currently valued. And so on underdog, where it's 23.5, this is seemingly pretty nice there. So yeah, I don't mind this. We could easily bet the higher there, I think. Interesting. Mitchell just got taken off the board. Oh, that's why Darius Garland now listed as questionable. Interesting. So let's see if he's still available on PrizePicks board. He's not. Huh. We'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. Oh, man. Trying to produce content for NBA DFS or really just any sport, college basketball as well right now. It can go just like that. It was nice yesterday. We were able to prepare for the Brooks Lopez prop prior to it. It didn't, like I said, it didn't seem like Giannis. It seemed like one of Giannis or Drew or both of them could sit last night, just given the fact that the game was projected to be a blowout. And so like Brooks Lopez made for a logical bet already in a great matchup. I'm not exactly seeing that today, and we can't really exactly prepare for any bets like that thus far today as well. They took down Mobley as well. Okay, so there was a weird thing today where PrizePicks was about a full point higher in their fantasy projections than underdog was for Cleveland. So maybe just something to monitor. But now I want to pull up Zach Collins' fantasy score. Okay, so on underdog, they have this set at 28.45. for his fantasy points. We go to PrizePicks, they have it set at 26.5. That's a full 2 points there, or close to a full 2 points there. That is huge. Okay, so we can see like if he is still getting the minutes, the run that he's been getting, this is a very good price tag, even against Denver, even if like he could get in foul trouble and whatnot, even against Denver, this is still a very good price point for the prop point. Now the biggest concern, that game is also projected to be a blowout as well, 12.5 points. Now the issue that we have is that we know he's very unlikely to get more than 32 minutes. So that would be the biggest worry. Now he has been a strong point per minute player as well. Like even if he only gets like 25 minutes, he should be able to get over 26.5 fantasy points. Been a point per minute player and slightly over that as well. Now if we look at Zach Collins' projection for PrizePicks or just his fantasy projection, we'll see that if he does get around 28 minutes like he's projected to get, he should be able to get right around there. The biggest issue that we're going to have is going to be the matchup. And so that's why his projection is set at 27.67. But on PrizePicks, we can see we are getting a little bit of an edge. On underdog, we are kind of losing the edge. So it's kind of a unique situation in which I could see us betting the under on underdog and then hedging and betting the over on PrizePicks. It's kind of a very unique situation in that sense. And I would say like part of where we might not be able to predict the minutes like too much with Zach Collins is obviously the game blow up, but like how many minutes is someone like Charles Bassey going to get? He's been someone that has been playing extremely well really this season. I'm excited to see him get more minutes. Good, strong, young player. And they did recently sign a player that as a Bucks fan, I was pretty excited about just seeing how he developed. And so he has been someone that's been getting some run as well. So maybe in a blowout, does Zach Collins actually have his minutes capped at maybe 20 or so? And I've said this a lot, but that's the biggest issue with second half NBA DFS really is that, we can find the best plays and the best matchups in the best prop lines, but the minutes are sometimes tough to predict. I think Mitchell Robinson is a perfect example of that. Mitchell Robinson had 20 to 21 fantasy points on 20 minutes last night. He didn't even get his normal minutes. Like if he gets 25 minutes there or even 23 minutes there, I feel pretty good about him getting his over there. And so that's kind of the biggest issue with second half DFS is that the minutes can be more random than they have been, especially in teams like the Spurs. And then just as well, Anthony Davis is kind of like one of those ones in which if the game stays close, and it should, he should be able to get over 53 fantasy points. I would say more times than not, he's going to get this over. And I say that in the sense that we look at Anthony Davis per 36 numbers this season, it's 61 fantasy points per 36 with LeBron James off the court. And so as long as he continues to get that run, he should be able to get over, even in a matchup against Toronto. I'm not too worried about Joachim Poeltl defense. And then I do just want to call out two situations that I think are very interesting. So Bam has a very low prop line today, and that is I think because of Kevin Love. It's an extremely small sample size here, but if we look at games in which Kevin Love has played in, this is about 100 minutes going to the sample size. Bam only averages 34.5 fantasy points per 36. So this is one in which I wish I would have got, I think it was 2 slates ago when I was doing the videos for whatever game it was against Cleveland. Because I think Bam's was set 38.5. And this is something we touched on the Occupy Fantasy live stream as well that day, which again, today we'll be going live at about 3:15 Central Standard Time. So check that out there. It's Occupy Fantasy YouTube. But it does seem to be something obviously a little bit lower. It's about 8 fantasy points per 36. And it makes sense. Love is kind of a high usage guy. He's someone that, is going to grab some boards, going to grab some points. And so it kind of opens up the floor a little bit for the whole team while kind of making the floor a little bit smaller for Bam, if you will. And obviously, tonight's matchup against Cleveland is difficult as well. So if we were to sort just by edge, we'd actually see Bam is the best one on paper, but that's because we're not adjusting for Kevin Love being there. I would say we're staying away from that bet. And I also want to point out this one with Jeremy Grant. These are two ones in which I think we could go the other way with them. Jeremy Grant with Yusuf on the court, who is expected to be active, averages about 2 less fantasy points per 36. So I would say that this kind of prop line that we are getting is basically correct. And so if we look at the last game against Boston, we can see one of his worst games in a long time. And why is that? Well, Boston is a good defense and whatnot, but also I think it's a direct result of Yusuf being back as well. And then just looking over the other bets that we are getting today, it is liking Michael Porter Jr. kind of in general today. I would say if we were going to chase a Michael Porter Jr. prop, we want to do that in the first half. Just with that game projected to be a blowout, I really don't mind that approach. Clint Capella's fantasy points still seem too low, but you know, we don't exactly know what the minutes are going to be. Projected to get 26.68 minutes, is projected to get over, but he is someone in the last game, got into foul trouble a little bit in the first half. They limited his minutes, only got 25 minutes then. Okay, they're perfectly fine doing that. Like, they are more than happy to do that, it seems like, with Anika Ogankwu there. You know, he's a pretty solid player. So if we knew for sure that Capella was going to get 30 minutes, we'd be good to go. But this random stuff here where 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes, and it's strange, right? That's 25 minutes 3 times in a row. Don't really know why that is. Okay, so really, is he going to get 30 minutes? Is he going to get a full extra rotation or not? Tough to say. And for what it's worth, like, John Collins was really going off in that last game as well. And so he got a little bit of extra run there. And then flipping it around, James Harden under fantasy points. I actually don't mind that one. Probably not touching Jeremy Sochan or any of these other ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and just look at the rest of the props that we're getting on the board for today as it sits right now. And so real quick, I just want to sort by this as well. Just sort by projected edge. We got Embiid here over points, and we can see kind of a push here, but the average sportsbook line has it set about 33.2, whereas PrizePicks has it set at 32.5, projected to get 37.5. And so, like, if you were trying to do this one as well, it'd be a situation in which you would probably want to do the first half one. Now, I know you guys are seeing this and like, oh, he hasn't gone over that in quite a while. Well, let's look at the matchup. Against Minnesota, you kind of would expect him to, but Rudy Gobert defense, you know, I know it's not as locked down as it once was, but still, it's going to be something that kind of prevents him from really going off. And then we look at Indy. That's an easy matchup. Went off. We look at Milwaukee, only 12. That makes sense. Miami, only 14. That makes sense. Dallas, got to push. Okay, so in matchups in which you would think he'd be able to get there, he's either pushed or gone over. In matchups in which you wouldn't think he would get over, he didn't get over. So I don't mind the first half aspect of it, just given the fact that this game is projected to be a blowout. Thus, you'd want to chase the first half one. And the reason I do that is because I don't really like to bet on first half props because we are reducing the sample size by a full half. The only time I like to do that is chasing like a good prop that we have, like we have with Joel Embiid here, in which the game's projected to be a blowout. Thus, if it is a blowout, someone like Joel Embiid is going to be the reason why. They are the team that's blowing out the other. So we can see Zach Collins is okay edge-wise for points, rebounds, and assists. I actually don't mind that. But once again, like, I think we just go fantasy points if we're going to do that. And then nothing like, I mean, we are getting some decent ones here. It's mostly Embiid, Zach Collins, and Aaron Gordon, where it seems like we are just getting good props on them. Kyle Kuzma, a little bit points. Not too crazy. Let's go ahead and just look at the ones with the odds. So we got Jimmy Butler, minus 134 to get over 5.5 rebounds, but projected to get 4.9. So we're staying away from that one. And really the best one that we are getting here is going to be Jakob Poeltl over rebounds and assists. I don't know if I want to chase this one. You guys can. He has been really just checking all the boxes in terms of stats. He's been getting it done points, been getting it done rebounds, been getting it done assists, steals, all that stuff. And so, like, you could chase this one if you wanted to. Minus 127 to get over 11.5 rebounds and assists, projected to get 14.6. And so if we pull up his game log, he has been getting some consistent minutes. And so we can see the rebounds have been there or the assists have been there, or in some situations both, for the most part. You know, so that's really a prop that isn't terrible. That's kind of who he has been. Like, we can see on the season, 9 rebounds there, 2.9 assists, and his minutes have went up slightly than what they were with the Spurs. So, you know, we could bump these two numbers up a little bit, but he's currently projected prop wise at what he had been averaging on the season. The biggest issue there is the matchup with AD could get into foul trouble. And that's kind of it for over bets. Let's check some under bets. Not the best here, like Bradley Beal under 6.5 assists. We can see he's actually slightly projected to get over that. Really the best one that we're getting, and I just don't love this because Lillard has been going off, would be Damian Lillard, rebounds and assists. Like Lillard's been getting 39 minutes. And so with the increase in minutes, I don't really want to touch this, but if I were to get under it at minus 133, projected to get 10.13, which is about, 2.73 of an edge there for the under. So okay there. And then just looking at some other bets in which the lines weren't matching up. Really, I would say the best one that we're going to get is Evan Mobley, where the over 27 points, rebounds, and assists is favored at minus 125.5, projected at 27.5. And so this was the prop that was there prior to that news. So we'll have to see where this prop line adjusts. I could see it staying the same. So if it stays the same, not terrible. And then here's that Kyle Kuzma one. It's fine. If you want to use that one, you can. And then no under bets in which we're seeing a price difference between the sportsbooks and PrizePicks. Oh man, I thought I would have time to get into these. I probably won't. I also tweeted this out last night as well. There was a big discrepancy between Underdog and PrizePicks, but by the time I upload this, won't be time to touch on that. I did put that in the Discord as well. That's so really to me, the best bet that we're going to get is on Underdog. We got Tobias Harris over 23.5 fantasy points. Now, if you guys disagree with that, bet the under on PrizePicks. Okay. And then to me, the best prop that we are getting on PrizePicks is going to be Zach Collins, 26.5. Over that, the only worry would be getting into foul trouble. And so just once again, comparing it to Underdog as well, they have it set at 28.5. Now he is projected to get in between that. So this is a situation in which maybe you could do kind of hedge it. You could do under on Underdog and then over on PrizePicks. But we're just getting a lot of solid props. It doesn't feel like we're getting any like real locks. Okay. Kind of like yesterday with PJ Washington. We had a few solid NHL props. And man, if freaking Clint Capella does get the minutes, I'm mad at the coach right now. Because if he gets the minutes, it's probably one of my best nights in the past 2 months, which was unfortunate because PJ Washington carried a lot of the golf bets that I made in the afternoon were strong. NHL bets, 2 out of the 3 hit. And then obviously Brooke Lopez, that was pretty clutch. I actually doubled down on that one as well as the day progressed. So yeah, that was frustrating. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. It is a better day, really than Monday for sure. Just getting better lines. And that's kind of why I like to start the day out with kind of today's board, because it really does matter kind of what props are available throughout the day. And like I said, it's kind of weird. Like this morning, I wasn't that excited for the board. And as the day has progressed, it does seem like we are going to get some good props. So just something to monitor throughout the day, see how the props develop. Obviously, it's Friday. It seems like on the weekend games, especially Saturday and Sunday, we do get some more random news before lineup lock. So just make sure to be checking before lineup lock as well. All right, that's all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give a like and subscribe. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.